All right, week 27 outlook number 1, starting out with the pound futures. We have failure of the continuation, which was based off the area of interest that I was looking for that would show continuation to seek this target here at 1.3094. We effectively had a purge of this liquidity point and then we reversed. There's nothing really too much. There's not really anything to dig deep into this. This is just a purge, and now we're having a pullback in which we should be looking for targeting of this high here as our next liquidity point. And so because of that, if this high is mitigated or it's purged, what we'll have to do is assess the action as we do in every other scenario. Is will this be a liquidity draw or will this be a pull or a liquidity draw or will this be a break of structure? If it's a break of structure, then we'll be looking for a price to target the next high, and then we'll have to assess that here. But if this does end up breaking multiple these highs in the form of a break of structure, if the action is break of structure here, I have no issue seeing that price is going to move higher because there's no valid area of interest inside of this area to me based off of my perspective, based off of this time frame, which is the one that I am framing up my structure. Now, because this failed, I definitely am, inclined to say that, yeah, price is definitely moving here. It's pretty obvious. But if you're in the RCV chat, if you're in my chat, then you'll know that after this ended up failing, I did change the internal bias, I guess you would call it, to say, okay, yeah, we're probably going to move here, which is one of the scenarios. I don't remember if I went over it in week 26 Outlook 2. But it is one of the scenarios that I was seeing that if this was going to fail, then we'll be reversing and looking to target the high to generate more liquidity or pull more liquidity. With scenario 1 being take out this high, we pull the liquidity at this high, and that leads to the run lower. Or we'll have a run on this high, then this high, and we'll pull from this high and run lower. Or scenario 3 is we just keep going higher, right? So those are the two scenarios based off of the two liquidity points that we have basically here. All right, so I was looking, and the logic behind the continuation here was basically we have action and mitigation, and then we have the creation of an area of interest, which actually was the area of interest that led to the break of structure here. And if I'm not mistaken, no, that looks pretty mitigated. 304. Yeah, so that's mitigated. Okay, whatever. Anyway, we have the action mitigation that led to the generation of this area of interest in which we had pullback. It gave a response but failed, and now we're looking to move higher. So that's what we're seeing, and then the scenarios accordingly. All right, gold, not really looking too much into this right now. Just waiting for more structure to see if we end up moving higher or lower. We are basically oscillating around the range line or the structural point in which we broke. So now it's just a matter of, okay, what are we about to do? Are we about to pull back to basically purge these highs, these relatively equal highs here, mitigating whatever price gap exists inside of there and continue lower? Or the other scenario, are we just going to reverse and go higher, or are we just going to continue lower right now? But right now, they're basically, to me, this is no man's land because we aren't mitigating any area of interest, and we are not... there's no area of interest here for buys either. So we're just in no man's land waiting for structure to give us some actual direction. All right, on the NASDAQ. So like I said, I was looking for price to take out this low. And then I also said I'm looking for price ultimately based off of the structure to move towards this structural point here. Now, what ended up happening, which is exactly, it makes sense to me, is the fact that we ended up pulling back and mitigating this area of interest here on the 4-hour time frame. And then ultimately, we are still waiting for price to pull back to the area of interest that we have marked out here on the premium side of this price leg. So all of this to me is great price action if you're looking to scalp or whatever. But as far as the swing price action, we're still waiting for price to pull back to this area of interest to give us the real move. All of this right now is just very volatile, high acceleration, if you want to call it that, price action that's existing inside of this price leg, existing from this low to, well, I guess from this high to this low, whatever. But that's pretty much it. There's not really much to say here other than I'm just waiting for price to pull back to the premium. I have no doubts that it will. I'd be very surprised if price were to respond from this area of interest here, because because price is left unbalanced price action after this is what led to the break of the structure here. So I would like to see price pull back here and then give the actual move. But as of right now, it's basically ping ponging, and this has been pretty precise analysis, I'd say. So yep, that's pretty much it for the NASDAQ. And then for Dow Jones, pretty similar. We actually did not decide, or price decided not to go lower and pull back into whatever this area of interest is down here. I don't even know if this really is an area of interest, because just we have a liquidity draw, but just because we have a liquidity draw doesn't mean that's an area of interest. And so price has decided to create a new price leg after we went hot, or a low here, created a high, we had a pullback here, and now we are essentially oscillating or just having pure price action inside of this price leg. So a lot of this, if you notice my words are not very precise, it's because the price action right now is very consolidated. It's not really being precise. It's not giving real direction, and I'm not going to predict what's going to happen. I want clear direction to take actions or to determine actions for the analysis. So that's overall the story of this outlook right now, is that price is consolidating after reaching multiple targets on all of the pairs. We're waiting to see what the price action is going to do next for each one of these pairs. Stay tuned. Peace.